Okay, my friends, I have been following, as probably most of you, the presidential situation between now Harris, Vice President Harris, and former President Trump. Now, they both claim to be going to do a fabulous job and so forth. The first thing we need is truth. Who will step up and confront mud fossils and our actual history and the truth? And then the filter down from that will be phenomenal. All right, I'm going to show you my empirical evidence, but here's what they're saying. Mainstream science. In mainstream science, the idea of giants and mud fossils are not supported by the conventional geology and paleontology. Again, conventional, no, obviously. Fossilization forms of geological structures are well understood. No, they're not. The process that do not align with the claims made by mud fossil proponents. Me, primarily, I've discovered how they fossilize. In summary, while the concept of giants has ancient and diverse origins, everybody in the whole world, the specific modern theory of mud fossils, which claims that certain rock formations are actual fossilized remains of giant creatures, is a relatively recent development. They don't say it's wrong. Key figures like Roger Spurr have been instrumental in popularizing these ideas, but they remain controversial and are not accepted by mainstream scientific community. The idea of giants in historical and mythological context is distinct from the contemporary mud fossil theories. So they say, yeah, they talked about giants and all that stuff in the past, but that really has nothing to do with mud fossils. Yes, it does. The mud fossils support those statements, and those statements support the mud fossils. And I'm going to show you some giant stuff I have right here. There's no way you can deny this. And I'm going to show you the DNA tests and the CAT scans. And I want to know, is Trump going to say yes, I want to have this looked into, or is Harris going to say yes? Or will both of them say no? I want an honest president. I want an honest president. I want somebody honest at the top that makes things filter down so we get some honesty all the way down. Right now, it's just, and I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure who would be willing to do that, if either one of them would be. But anyway, here's the empirical evidence. Okay, empirical evidence would be DNA tests, CAT scans, chemistry, specimens, which I had 3 DNA tests done. It was a very detailed PCR test, took 2.5 months to do. All negative controls were tested, there was no negative issues. Excellent quality DNA sequence obtained, and it can be done again from the 36-inch tip and the lung, and they came out Homo sapien mitochondrial B gene and D loop region, and this was all the CTAGs that relate to the mitochondrial mother side DNA, which is all I had tested for. I didn't want every single sequence so they could make new giants. I just wanted to know, was this human blood? And I extracted the stuff out of there, which came out almost like raw blood. It wasn't wet to speak of. It was, like rusty looking blood, basically. It wasn't completely dry, but it wasn't completely wet either. It came off of creatures that were so well preserved, as you're going to see right now, that it's just stunning. And in addition to that, I have other giants here, which is this is the hair follicle. I've shown a bazillion times. There's where the erector pili muscle attaches so your hair can stand up on end. That's the sebaceous gland, which is the oiler for your hair. There's the hair. This is the root ball coming down, and those 2 little round dots are the hair papilla, which is the vein and artery. And that's 2 inches wide, much bigger than ours. So that just shows you, that's undeniable. And that I believe you could test that for DNA if you drill. This is very highly transitioned. And here's the key. Some of them get highly transitioned like this. And some of them don't get transitioned at all. They stay almost like blood. And some of them actually have blood flowing out of them. And this was the lungs. The lung I had tested was this one. It's just flawless. It's like it just came out of perfect. This is the bloody end that wraps around and locks the lung into the body. Now this one was completely transitioned into silicates, but you can still see all the little alveoli in here. And this part was still in the mud, and blood actually literally boiled up, bubbled up out of there. This is blood. It came out of that, this quartz one. This one just has blood. I could put a little bit of water on there, and it will just bubble into blood. I think I drilled a hole in there somewhere. This goes back a long time ago, over 10 years ago. And it can be retested. I got it right here. As a matter of fact, here it is. Oh, here it is right here. And it's flat on the back because they all died in a great flood. Solid, just absolutely flat. And virtually all of my stuff is that way. Now, there was another gigantic, and again, this was excellent quality DNA. Whoops, you can't see that, can you? All right, that was excellent quality DNA. And so was this other giant fingertip. And look at the size of this baby. That right there, my friends, is 3 feet long from the very back to the very front of the tip. This is the fingernail. All right, now I want you to take your time. Just look at it. We're in no rush. Think of what you're seeing here. That's the bone cartilage in between bones so they don't bump into each other. That's the vein and artery. This is the fingernail. It's a fingernail, same thing. It's this right here to this right here. Now I broke this piece right off of here, which is this piece right off of here. And so I have that in my shop here. And when I brought it back, I looked at it closely and I could see it still has the fingerprints in there. And I broke it off because you can't get blood from the surface of and I'll show you why. It's called grip skin. And this is grip skin. This is it right here. Now, let's take a real close look at this. This peels right off, just like a scab. And it does, because this is it right here. And it peels right off, just like a scab. You see it? That came off of that gigantic fingertip. And that's this. This is just another piece of it. This is a sweat pore, and that is a sweat pore. And these I looked at the microscope, and one of them actually started to sweat again after I had washed them all up. I put it there, it's completely dry, and all of a sudden, bloop, and water just popped out of the sweat pore. And again, this piece just popped right off. I smacked it with a hammer because I had to get inside to get the blood. And the reason is, here's what blood is just saturated in your fingers. It's just saturated. There's so much blood, it's unbelievable. So when I popped it off, I could find the arteries and the veins instantly, and I just scooped out some blood. And of course, I did it carefully. There was no contamination. Plus, it was dense and excellent quality. I didn't push my blood in there. Now, so that's the fingertip itself. This is, again, the grip skin. And the fingernail was right up here. It goes like that. My thumb is the same size as one of the ridges of the fingerprints. So my thumb is basically that size. All right, and these are sweat pores. And again, I had the sweat come right out of there after it got wet. It just blew my mind. Now, everything I'm showing here is DNA tested, and what could be CAT scanned was this fingertip, and the lung was, of course, that sucker there, I can't even move it. It must weigh 500 pounds or more. Now, this was another hand that I have. Again, this stuff is right on my property. It's right down, right in the front yard almost. It's in the woods off to the side. Now, that is a left hand. Put your hand back solid, flat like that. You have this that runs around here, which is your bumper pad, basically, that runs around to your small finger. That right running down here is a tendon. You have the same thing. No question whatsoever, if you have a left hand, you will have that. This right here is the bone that comes down right here. All right, right underneath there. Again, this is the pad. This right here is the cleave. Right in between your two pads. This is the pad that goes off here to the thumb. All right, so that's the left hand. I have fingertips and I have knuckles and I have a lot of stuff from this particular hand. And but this is completely transitioned into mud almost. Now, remember I talked about the grip skin and that big fingertip, and this is the grip skin. It just popped right off of the big fingertip, just like it was a scab. It just peeled right off. I hit it and it popped right off. I said, wow, that's interesting. It's just almost like it was glued on there, and that's the skin. And here's the same thing here. That's the grip skin. See it? On the palms of your hands and your fingertips and all that stuff, it just peels right off. See it? Just like I showed you in the, and it's silvery and it's extremely dense in silicon, 50 times more silicon. Now, this is one of the fingertips that came from there. And this right here, you can see where the fingernail bed was. You see it? That's the beauty of a 2D. 2D CAT scans is a surface. They do it from a million different ways, and then they put it all together so you can see every different type of angle shot. These are the best. And that is the fingernail bed. And that right there is where tendons lock in on the side of fingers. And that makes them be able to do all kinds of twisty little things. Now, so there's your fingertip that came off of this. I have knuckles and so forth. That's the big one. This is 3 feet. Now this here is not that big. This is 3 feet wide here. It's about 4 feet, maybe a little more up here, somewhere around there, 3-4 feet wide. I called it a 36-inch. 36-inch giant 36-inch wide hand, but I think it's 36 inches here and 4 feet up there, maybe a little more. And again, this is 10 years ago. I got to be honest with you, I forgot a lot of this stuff. Now, here's the other deal. This was a CAT scan 2D. Here's another 2D. This is coming from the back of the fingertip. All right. Now, what I want here, I'm going to grab it. Hold on. Ugh. Now, the reason I got this green Velcro wrapped around here, because I broke this piece off so I could get in and look at the bone. And you can actually see the bone in there. But normally you look at that, you say, oh, it's just a big chunk of dirt. Well, it's not. That's the bottom of the fingertip. All right, this is the back of the fingertip. That's the bone. And both sides have tendons. And in the 2D, you can see it very easily. These were done by Jesse Grant and Associates, the best in the world for CAT scans, X-ray. They do everything to do with investigating deeply into turbine engines and all kinds of stuff. These guys are the best. They did 7 CAT scans for me, and they did them at no charge because they knew what I was finding here, and they were quite excited as well. Didn't plan out the way we all thought it would, where people would sign on to this. It's just the way it was. That's a tendon. That's a tendon. That's white. That's black. Why? You see that hole right there? You see that little hole right there? Those go up and service blood on the sides. The tendon is right here, and the tendon is right here. One of them's black, one of them's red blood, basically. That is the bone, and it's the bone from a right hand thumb, because that chunk is hanging off the edge, you see? That's this big lump. All the other fingers are straight down the middle. That should be right here. But it's not. It's way off to the side because it is a thumb. On that side, it hangs off the edge. See a big chunk? And that's because it's the right-hand side. Now, if it was the left-hand side, and the hand is a left-hand hand and a right-hand thumb. So the whole thing is there, right in this area. So that takes care of that. And here's the problem with 3D. It's so transitioned, you can't see anything except the vaguest outline of the bone. And don't forget, I said it was right on the edge, and here it is. And and that's the bone, and you really can't see too well with the 3D, as these are the ones that go deep through the whole thing. Now this again is 10 years ago, and this is just not right to let this just, this is empirical evidence. They wanted DNA, they wanted CAT scans, they wanted specimens, they wanted chemistry. It's all done. And to have this not be allowed to be seen, it's just not right. It's just not right. And then this poor guy did a fabulous job. And I know he took a lot of heat for doing it, because they gang up on anybody that walks outside of the line they say you have to stay on to be a scientist, to be a peer reviewed. Well, I don't go along with that stuff, because I want to make a decision based on what's really here, not what everybody else says. And right now that's the position we're in academia, and it's just not right. And I'm hoping that either Trump or Harris will say something about this during the convention. During the election. We want a true, honest president, don't you? I want somebody that's honest and truthful. And I've been showing this all over, and not a single person will stand up. I've tried everybody in government and agencies and Fermilab and CERN, and you can't name somebody I haven't tried. And not a single response, none, zero. So the only chance we have of getting this done is to put it in front of the people, just like an election, and say, who's honest here? Who's going to stand up for honesty? You cannot run a country or even a world on the way we've been doing it. It's just not true. A lot of other countries still have all these traditions and parades and everything to show all these ancient things. Now, are they still really honestly believe in them, or are they just having a good time for a party? Now we know that a lot of this stuff was true. It has serious meaning, not only for this life. It might have an extreme meaning for the afterlife. And whoever stands up, if there is a great afterlife that you can have, and you don't stand up, it's not going to be great. I can tell you that right now, because they talk about false teachers, and their destruction does not sleep is exactly what it says. And right now, unfortunately, that's the position we're in. I don't think anybody can miss what I have presented for the last 10 years, and I've forced it. It's not like, oh, gee, I didn't see that. No. All right, I love you, my friends, and I hope we can get this taken care of, but you're going to have to step up and push it hard. All right? Thank you. Okay, my friends, this is too much, way too much. This right here is the sweat pore, the bottom, okay? Above that is the skin up here. So that's the sweat pore from that giant fingertip. There's several of them on there, but this is just one of them, and it's fairly good size. This is just unbelievably crazy. This is the freakiest thing I've ever seen. I am focusing in here on a sweat pore, and I'm getting ready to do the video on it. And I had cleaned this up and put a little water on here to, water always makes things look better. You can see it's nice and moist. So I'm looking at this sweat pore, which is right here. And this is the bottom of the sweat pore. And I'm filming it. Now watch this. I am going to have to stop this on and off real, because it's instantaneous. There's the sweat pore is going to shoot sweat out of there. It's not really sweat. It's water. It must be. I don't know. Maybe it is sweat. It's the little white stuff. Watch. I'm going to have to click, 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 click. That's just like that. Now watch. Get ready. It just squirted out of there. It just squirted right out of there. Like it was sweating. I'm not kidding you. That's the freakiest thing I've ever seen. And then I went crazy and I said, what the hell is going on? You see it? It's leaking in over here. See it? This is all the sweat pores right in here. And it just came out. All by itself. Look, it's still leaking out over here. See it? Those are all the sweat pores. I mean, the little passageways for the sweat to go. Isn't that freaky? So I dried it up a little bit and kept looking at it. And you see all those little holes? That's where the sweat pores are. The water just popped right out of there. It blew my freaking mind. Look real careful at this. You see all these little tiny holes around the sweat pore? That's where the sweat comes in and sweats out or whatever. You see how these little tiny holes? Now, again, I'm going to click. They just squirted right out of there. I didn't do anything. They just came out. Now watch, they're going to keep coming out. All right, click, get ready. By that time, I'm saying, what the hell is going on? Click. Look at it bleeding out into here. Click. I'm just going to let it run. Watch, it's seeping out from here and moving out. Nothing's being added to it. It's just flowing out of there like a sweat pore would sweat. The damn thing's sweating. That's just freaked me out. Look at it, it's still sweating. You know, I thought I lived in a home of the free speech and all this. This is January 30th, 1968. The Tet Offensive started, and all my friends were being drafted. And I was married. I wouldn't have been drafted, but I went down and I volunteered for the draft. I said, I'll go 2 years because everybody else is doing it. I have an obligation to do this, and I went in for 2 years. And I went in February 11th. As a matter of fact, here's the thing right here. I got out February 11th, 70. I went in February 11th, 68. Or February 12th, I guess it was. But anyway, I want to be involved in the government. They owe me this. I went in and gave my years into the military. I've never had even a parking ticket in my entire life. I've done everything I'm supposed to. I discovered things that were not allowed to be said. And this is a free country, and I want somebody from my government to stand up for me. I'm done standing up for the government. I want them to stand up for me. All right, I don't mean to get belligerent, but I stood up for the country. I did what I was supposed to do. And now I want them to stand up for me. And I want to be part of this new administration, whatever it is, Harris, Trump, I don't care. Who will stand up for truth? That's the one I want. I don't care who it is. If you stand up for truth, so much will change in this country. It'll be amazing. It'll be absolutely incredible. And my technical abilities are far beyond anybody I have found in government whatsoever or in private. Anywhere. I don't care who it is. Maybe Elon Musk is a genius. I don't know. But I sure am. All right, here's my Army GT. That means technical. That's technical ability. That's not, I can remember the name of the capital of Texas or something. No, this is technical ability. General technical. And if you scored a 136 or higher before 1980, and mine was 1968, they accept the results of being in 98th percentile. I had a 139. So I'm way above the 98th percentile. I should be allowed to put my input into what my country does. I did my work for my country. Now I want my country to ask me, what do you think about this, Roger? What do you think about that, Roger? What do you think about this, Roger? Well, I got a lot of things to talk about. Please ask me. Now, one or the other of them, I'm going to push this until somebody speaks up. This is insane. It's crazy. It's been a denial of truth and reality. And all I ever hear is, oh, we want truth. We want reality. We want to know everything about everything. No, they don't. They want funding. They're looking for your money to be spent by the government. You just give it to them and they just squirt it around. And Trump has the right idea. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to get in, who isn't going to get in. I don't know if Harris has anything to do with this or Trump will stand up for me either. I want this looked at. And I'm the only one that's screaming about it, and I'm sure this is just so frustrating. I'm sorry, my friends. I'm just going to leave it at this. It's the most frustrating thing I've ever done for the last 15 years. I've been called nothing but an insane nutcase because I don't know what to do anymore. I really don't know what to do anymore. If my government won't stand up for me, I don't know what to say. they expect everybody to be a good citizen and all that stuff. I don't see much coming back the other direction. All right, my friends, I'm just going to leave it at this. I have an extremely high general technical ability. I am a 139, and you needed a 136 to be in the 98th percentile with Mensa. Mensa is a big, intellectual people. But this is general technical. This is my ability to work with my hands, to work with electricity and gears and Tesla coils and generation and all that stuff. Now, again, I went in when I didn't have to go in. I went in for 2 years because I felt an obligation to the country. I was married, they wouldn't have drafted me. And, but I saw all my friends stepped up, and I stepped up. And I want somebody to step up now for me and for the rest of the country, because right now we are all in a fog of denial of reality, and it just cannot continue. It just cannot continue. One or the other, Harris or Trump, I want to hear from them, and I want somebody to step up and say, let's look into this. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying turn over the government, let's go out and do whatever. I want them to just say, all right, show us what you got, which I just did. All right, I love you all. Please, please. This is the only way I can see to put them against the wall. Then nobody will step up. We got a presidential election coming up. I got 208,000 subscribers. Now, I will put the word out big time for the first one that steps up and says, I want truth. And I don't know what I can do, but everybody that knows my channel is looking for truth. Now, I don't know who they're selecting for who they want, but if they see somebody wants truth, I got a feeling they're going to migrate to that side of their coin. All right, I love you all. Please, let's get this truth out in the open for once and for all. Then I can walk out of this thing and just sit back and watch. This is what I expected 15 years ago. I never even showed my face on camera until a few years ago. And I was just so frustrated, I just didn't know what to do. And I still am. And if you don't do something now, it's just never going to end. All right? Thank you.